Hey guys, Sarah here from Work Life Glue, where we talk about gluing the pieces of life and work together one piece at a time. And today, the piece of life I'm actually going to be talking about is kind of specific to natural birth. I'm going to be talking about how I personally am preparing for a natural birth. This will be my second birth experience coming up. I am in my third trimester, quickly approaching birth of my second daughter. And the first time did not go anything as planned. I have a whole video on my birth story from our other channel, which I'll have linked below, about episiotomies, which I'll link below. But basically, my first birth did not go as planned, even though I really did prepare for a natural birth. I did Kegels, I did pelvic rocks, I did the Taylor sit, I was walking, I was reading, I had all the products, but I ended up being induced for being quote unquote overdue. So I'm going to share, now that I've gone through birth with lots of interventions, basically every intervention except a C-section. Think epidural, water breaking, vacuum extraction, episiotomy. All of those things are things that I experienced with my first birth and are things that I want to avoid this time around. So now that I am a little bit more experienced in the birth department, I want to talk to you about how I'm preparing for birth now that I know what birth is like and what I want to avoid. So what I am really focusing on this time around, last time I really focused on the physical aspect of birth. This time I'm focusing more on the mental portion of birth, because I truly believe now, having gone through birth, that it is mostly mental. The physical experience of it is definitely a huge part of it, but you need to have the right mindset and the right focus going into it to actually achieve a natural birth. If you go into it with fear and letting the pain overtake you, then you're likely going to ask for intervention. So I'm really focusing on how to prepare my mind first and then my body. So I'm going to share with you some things I'm doing to prepare my mind for a natural birth. The very first thing I'm doing, if you guys know me or are familiar with the channel, is I do a miracle morning every morning. I'll have a link to my most recent miracle morning video. I plan to film a new one, but it's on our old channel, our other channel. We still post on there, but it's mostly vlogs. But I have a whole miracle morning routine and what that means. But part of my miracle morning routine during this pregnancy has been involving this book, Supernatural Childbirth by Jackie Mize. And in the back there are prayers, and it's all about trying to really have a supernatural birth where you don't experience pain. Pain is taken over. I'm Christian, so this is definitely from a Christian standpoint, but there are prayers in the back. So earlier on in the pregnancy, I was praying for the baby and like every part of her body and everything that would grow perfectly. Now I'm praying about the delivery, that I won't have any pain, that she'll come at the right time, that there won't be any tearing or complications, that the umbilical cord will be in the perfect position, won't get wrapped around her head, that I'll stretch in the way I need to, that I'll relax in the way I need to, and then I'll have no intervention. So that's the very first thing I'm doing to prepare my mind for birth. The second thing I'm doing during my miracle morning every morning is reading an affirmation card. I got these from Mama Natural, Genevieve from Mama Natural. She's here on YouTube. She also has a blog, a birth course. I'll link to all these things below. But basically, there's a card and there's a bunch of cards in here with beautiful illustrations, and they have, like, for example, this one says, "My mind is at ease," with a really pretty picture to focus on. And then it has kind of like questions and things to think about and ideas for things you can do and things you can think about to prepare your mind to be relaxed, to feel empowered, to feel capable, because you are. So I do those every day, and I also plan on using these during the birth to really get my mind focused on what I am capable of. Other things I'm doing to prepare my mind are reading really positive, uplifting, naturally focused birth books. I'm rereading Ina May's Guide to Childbirth. She is from The Farm. If you guys aren't familiar, if you've seen, I would highly recommend the Business of Being Born videos. I watched those years and years ago, and I've watched them a few times. But basically, she's kind of like one of the main midwives who have spoken out about natural birth. She's like a guru in the natural birth community, and she has this wonderful book filled with amazing birth stories of natural births, the philosophy behind natural birth, why it's what our bodies are made to do. It's just very positive and gives you lots of ideas to help prepare for a natural birth. I'm also reading the Mama Natural Guide, her week-by-week guide to pregnancy and childbirth. This is the only book that is a week-by-week pregnancy book from a natural perspective. I'm really enjoying it. It has beautiful pictures and just lots of things to think about as you prepare for a natural birth. And then I'm also really trying to focus on gratitude and being thankful and starting my day from a positive place, because what you experience leading up to the birth is often how you experience the birth. I had a really negative, stressful situation, lots of them going into birth. Last time my husband's grandma died, my grandpa died within like 2 months before the baby was due. We weren't living in a house of our own. We were living with my parents, selling a house, signing papers. While we were actually in the labor and delivery room, we were signing papers on our phone electronically to help us close on a new house, and it was just very uncertain, lots of things going on. So I'm really trying to focus on just simplicity and gratitude leading up to this birth. So I use my 5-minute journal where I talk about every day. I write something I'm grateful for, some uplifting words of affirmations, which often have to do with birth, since that's something I'm really focused on right now, and just really helps you start your day from a good perspective, so I can build upon that when I get to the birth. I'm in a really good mental state. And then another thing I'm doing to prepare my mind is to just really focus on saying no right now. I've been very, very cognizant of all the things that I'm doing, and I've purposely said no to a lot of things just to have not much going on leading up to the birth, very little stress, so that I can be in the best state mentally, because a lot of how you feel will translate into your birth, and that can lead to postpartum depression after too, which is something I also experienced. So I'm really trying to focus on my mind and have everything just really be able to focus on the birth and preparing our home, preparing our family, preparing my body for the birth. So of course, birth is a physical experience, so there are things I'm doing to prepare my body for birth as well. I am definitely not focusing on it as much as I did with my first daughter. I'm not doing Kegels all the time. I'm not doing pelvic rocks. I probably will start doing those soon because the birth is coming up pretty soon, but I am really focusing on being more active. So I try to take a daily walk. I am a child care provider in my home, so I'm very active now. Before I was a nanny to an infant, so there wasn't a lot of activity, and it was the middle of winter in Minnesota, so I wasn't getting out going for walks. But right now it's summertime, so I'm definitely taking advantage of the beautiful weather and getting out, staying active, and I think that will really help prepare my body, just having, exercise as part of my daily routine. And I'm also focusing a lot on rest. I'm really trying to sit down more, to just let my body rest. Last time we were moving, so I was like packing up and moving boxes and furniture, which I shouldn't have been doing at the end of my pregnancy. So I'm really trying to rest, which is hard for me, but something that's really important leading up to pregnancy, because it is hard towards the end. I'm also drinking the organic red raspberry leaf tea, which is supposed to help strengthen your uterus. I drank it last time, but I wasn't very consistent about it, and I have been drinking it every night now, just 1 tea bag. And I have noticed my Braxton Hicks being more tight and slightly painful sometimes when I'm active. I don't know if it has anything to do with this, but I really do think it's working, and we'll see when the birth comes how effective it was. I'm also sleeping at night with a pregnancy pillow, which I'll have linked below, which I'm getting really, really good sleep. Last time I ended up getting carpal tunnel, which I may still get with this pregnancy. I got it towards the end of my pregnancy last time and had a lot of trouble sleeping because my wrists would hurt in the night. But I do also have wrist braces if that were to come this time, that I have all ready for me to use if that happens again. Pregnancy has so many weird things. So basically you just want to really make sure you're getting proper rest at night. I barely ever wake up except to go to the bathroom. So I'm getting really good sleep, which is very helpful. I also plan to do spinning babies toward the end of the pregnancy. Basically, what that is just helps the baby get in the perfect position. So if she is breech, it will help her flip. And if she's face up, like my last daughter was, which makes pushing really hard, especially with an epidural, which I don't hope to have this time, but I do hope to get this baby in the perfect position so that if I'm squatting or whatever, it won't take very long to get her out. And then I'm also trying to really focus on my nutrition with vitamins and supplements and just healthy eating. I'm working on taking these whole food prenatal vitamins. I have had a lot of nausea with this pregnancy, so it's been really hard to take these big pills and swallow them, but I'm working on it. In the meantime, I've been taking the not as like naturally focused, but just these chewable ones. It's all I was able to actually get down most of my pregnancy because of the nausea, so I figure that's better than nothing. And then I'm also taking iron, and this is a whole food one. It's a lot smaller because I have had a lot of pica, which is where you crave non-food items, and it's helped a lot, so I think that's probably good, and it's great for your blood to have a lot of iron. It's good for the baby. I've also been trying to drink a lot of water, eat a lot of fruits and veggies, and just overall be healthy. That definitely can't hurt leading up to a natural birth, and I just think the state your body is in when you give birth can either help or hinder you. Now, as far as the birth itself, in order to prepare for a natural birth, you have to get some of the products and things ready for a natural birth. So I just want to share some of the things I'm going to take with me to the hospital that will help with the birth, hopefully. One of the things is a rice bag. Basically, it's just a big sock filled with rice. I just secured it with a ponytail so you can heat it up or get it cold, and it will help relieve pain, especially like back pain during labor. I also made one of these tennis ball massagers with tennis ball and some tights or nylons, which I also got the idea from Mama Natural. She was kind of my guru last time around, so I still have this stuff from last time. And basically this can help my husband or the midwife or the nurses apply counter pressure to my back to help with the pain, and also just massage to help me relax. It feels really good. I also have this dress to deliver labor dress I used last time, and I loved it. I was like the talk of the birth center because it's really cool. It's got all these like snaps so that the nurses and midwives can still access my belly. It's got snaps all the way down the front and everything they need to see, but it allows me to be comfortable but still modest. I know by the end of the birth, when you're about to push, you're not as modest anymore, but I'm just a very modest person in general, so I just like knowing I'm covered, and it's so comfortable, so much more comfortable than the hospital gowns, and it just feels good to like be in actual clothing and not like completely naked or in the hospital gown. It just makes you feel a little bit more feminine and human, which just helps you relax as well, just feeling comfortable. And then I also have this after ease. I did not use this last time. I did not have a lot of pain, but I also had epidural, so I don't really know. But I didn't have a lot of pain after pushing and trying to get the placenta out. But then again, I had an epidural, so don't really know. But this time around, if I do have a natural birth, as I'm hoping, I've heard with subsequent births, the after birth pains become more, like when you're trying to get the placenta out, and then when you're nursing and or just in general as your uterus is trying to contract back down to its normal size. This has been said to really help. I think you just mix it in water, and I've heard really good things about this, so I'm going to try this as well. But other than that, I'm not really bringing much more to the birth. I could bring essential oils. I am not really big into them right now, but I also will be bringing music to help, the affirmation cards, and just probably a picture of my husband, our family, and our daughter, because I will be missing her, and I do want to think about her too during the birth experience. And then lastly, because I really do want this video to be helpful to people who are trying to have a natural birth, especially if you've never gone through birth before, because I do have some experience and I know exactly what I want to avoid this time, I thought I would talk about how I'm going to work to prevent being induced. With my first daughter, I was induced at 41 weeks, and I ended up having her, maybe it was 41 weeks one day, I can't remember, but I ended up having her at 41 weeks 3 days. At the hospital I'm going to now, it's a different hospital. They'll let me go to 42 weeks, which gives me quite a few extra days, which is good. But I don't want to be scrambling right before the 42-week mark, trying to figure out how to get the baby out, because my baby wasn't coming on her own, and I really think the key to a natural birth is being at home for a lot of it if you're going to have a hospital birth, so that you're not, surrounded by people on a timeline trying to make sure you get the baby out soon. So I really want to be home. I really don't want to be induced, because already that's not natural, and it led to a lot last time that I want to avoid. So this time around, starting around my due date, there's a few things I plan to do to help get my body to go into labor. One thing you can do is just have sex. Kind of a weird thing to talk about, but it can really help. It helps relax you. It gives you oxytocin, which causes contractions. And I've heard things about semen helping like make everything ready. I don't really know. It's kind of weird to talk about, but I do plan on using that. That's a pretty easy thing to do to help get labor started. I plan to continue walking. Walking can really help get your body ready. Activity is good. You don't want to overdo it, obviously, but just a walk, like a 30-minute walk. I plan to schedule an acupressure massage around my due date. I ended up doing it right before I was induced with my last daughter, and it did make her crazy active, so I know it did something. So I want to do that earlier on in hopes that it will get my labor started. Basically, somebody trained in acupressure just pushes on some pressure points. It was very painful last time, but I think it really did work to some extent. And I hope to have that help. I also could go to the chiropractor and have them adjust me. I think it's the Weber technique. I'll have to link it below. That can help get you ready for labor. And then I've also heard about taking castor oil, which is not something I really want to do, but I'm willing to do if it's getting close to 42 weeks and she's just not coming. I will definitely be trying as much as possible. That's not going to like harm the baby or harm me to get the birth started on its own, because I do not want to be induced under any circumstance unless the baby actually needs it. Not that I'm just like pregnant and they don't want me to go any longer, which can affect the baby. But I really think with my last pregnancy, she just wasn't ready to come out yet, and we really rushed it. So those are all the things I'm doing to prepare for a natural birth. Let me know in the comments if you are pregnant and preparing for a natural birth, what are some things you are doing? If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'm definitely no birth expert, but as a mom who's done it before and did not enjoy the process, I'm hoping to have a new experience this time that will be empowering, that will leave me crying happy tears, will send me to the moon, and just to have me talk about natural birth in such a positive way after, because it was so amazing. That's what I'm really hoping and looking forward to. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please continue watching our channel and subscribe if you like this kind of video. We do all kinds of videos pertaining to work and life and everything in between, managing a household, being a two-parent working family, dealing with kids, and how we get routines and stuff like that to really help us focus on what's most important in life. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye guys.